Ladies and gentlemen, before the sun rises, before the world begins to move, there is a moment when everything is still, a moment where dreams whisper louder than doubt, and your heartbeat reminds you you are alive, you are able, and you have a choice. Every new day begins in the dark, but that's where light is born, and those who rise with it. They don't just wake up early, they wake up on purpose. In the stillness of the early morning, something profound happens. The world has not yet demanded your attention, the noise is quiet, the chaos is on pause, and in that space you find a kind of clarity that can't easily be accessed later in the day. It's a time when your mind is not yet clouded by responsibilities, distractions, or the expectations of others. The early morning becomes a place of focus, where thoughts align more easily, where inner questions have room to breathe, and where ideas often emerge without force. For many, the early morning is the only moment in the day that truly belongs to them. No phones ringing, no deadlines pressing, no meetings or interruptions. It is a rare pocket of time where silence is not empty. It's full of potential, full of insight, full of a kind of peace that speaks directly to your soul. It's not just about getting ahead of others or squeezing in productivity. It's about reconnecting with yourself. When your eyes open before the sun rises, you step into a time that the world hasn't yet touched, a moment that feels like it was reserved just for you. Clarity in the morning doesn't always mean big revelations or sudden answers. Sometimes it's simply the calm realization of what matters most. It's the chance to ask yourself what is truly important today, and to answer without being swayed by urgency or pressure. In the quiet of the morning, your mind can sort what's valuable from what's noise. You see your thoughts more clearly. You hear your own voice above the clutter, and that voice reminds you of your priorities, your purpose, and your potential. This clarity often translates into confidence throughout the rest of the day. When you begin your day centered and calm, you carry that posture with you. You're not just reacting to what comes your way. You're moving with intention. You've already spent time aligning yourself internally, so your external world doesn't shake you as easily. That's the power of morning clarity. It sets the tone, not just for your tasks, but for your attitude, your choices, your energy. And it's not just mental clarity that mornings offer. There's emotional clarity too. When the day hasn't yet pressed its weight onto your shoulders, you can check in with your heart without filters. You can feel what needs to be felt. Maybe you sit with joy, maybe you acknowledge sorrow, but you're not rushing past it. The morning gives you space to process, to reflect, to simply be honest about where you are. And that emotional honesty becomes a foundation for the way you treat others, for the way you carry yourself through challenges. For some, the early morning is when they connect spiritually, through prayer, meditation, or quiet reflection. In those moments, there's a real sense of grounding, a reminder that life is bigger than schedules and checklists, that each day is a gift, and that how you start it matters. When you start with clarity, you are less likely to lose yourself in the demands of the day. You're anchored, you know who you are and what you're walking toward. Even 5 or 10 intentional minutes in the early morning can reshape how you view everything that follows. It's not about the clock, it's about the commitment to give yourself room to breathe before the world starts asking you to run. Morning clarity is not a luxury for the few. It's an opportunity for anyone who is willing to rise and listen. Not to the world's voice, but to their own. Most people wake up and instantly begin reacting. The alarm rings, and within moments, the phone is in hand, notifications are being checked, messages are being answered, and the mind is already running at full speed. Before the feet even touch the ground, the day is dictating terms. That's reaction mode, living in response to what comes rather than in alignment with what matters. It's a cycle many fall into without realizing it, and over time, it can drain a person's sense of control, direction, and peace. But early rising creates a gap between waking and reacting, It opens up a space, a breathing room, where you choose what enters your mind and what sets your course for the day. Instead of the world setting your priorities, you get to define them yourself. You have time to think before the noise begins, time to ask, what do I want this day to mean? And not just what do I have to do today. Intentional living starts with choosing how your day begins. When you rise early, you place yourself at the driver's seat instead of being pulled by the momentum of external demands. You don't just react to what life throws at you. You proactively shape your direction. This doesn't mean every early riser has a rigid plan or a perfect routine, but it does mean they've made a decision to be deliberate with their time. They're not scrambling to catch up. They're stepping into the day with purpose. There's a subtle but powerful shift that happens when you no longer start the day in a rush. You're not just trying to make it through. You're trying to make it count. That mindset changes how you approach everything. Your work, your relationships, your challenges. Instead of feeling like life is happening to you, you begin to realize that life is responding to how you show up, and showing up early, with clarity and calm, sends a message to yourself and the world. You are not here to drift, you are here to live with direction. Waking up early gives you room to choose your attitude before others influence it. In reaction mode, you absorb stress, tension, and urgency, but in intentional living, you generate focus, gratitude, and strength from within. You might use that time to move your body, feed your spirit, plan your day, or simply sit in silence. Whatever the practice, the effect is the same. You create momentum that flows from intention, not pressure. This shift also builds confidence. When you begin your day by honoring your values and priorities, you start believing more deeply in your ability to lead your life, not just manage it. You're not a slave to time, you're a steward of it. And that sense of ownership ripples into everything else. Decisions become clearer, boundaries become stronger, distractions lose some of their pull because you know what you're aiming for. There is a calm power in living with intention. It's not loud or dramatic, it's quiet and steady. It shows up in the way you respond instead of react. It reveals itself in how you spend your energy, not just your hours, and early rising is often the gateway into that kind of life. Because when you give yourself the gift of time, you give yourself the opportunity to align, not with urgency, but with purpose. And when that alignment becomes your starting point, every step forward carries more weight, more meaning, and more truth. There's something about the quiet hours when the world hasn't quite woken up yet that speaks directly to the soul. It's in that stillness that a person can begin to hear things they've been missing, not from the outside world, but from within. In the noise of everyday life, purpose can feel buried beneath responsibilities, distractions, and the voices of others telling you what you should do or who you should be. But in the quiet, that purpose begins to rise to the surface. It doesn't shout, it whispers, and when there's silence, the whisper becomes clear. Those early moments, when the sky is still dark and the air is cool, offer a space free from expectation. There's no performance, no audience, no pressure. It's just you and whatever is stirring in your heart. That's when clarity comes. That's when you begin to remember why you started, why you kept going, why something in you refuses to give up. It's not because everything is easy. It's because something meaningful is calling you forward, even when no one else sees it. Quiet time allows space for reflection. It's a chance to step outside the busyness of doing and reconnect with being. You begin to ask deeper questions. What truly matters to me? Am I living in alignment with that? What am I willing to endure, to sacrifice, to chase for something that sets my heart on fire? These are not questions that get answered in the middle of traffic or while scrolling through your phone. These are questions that unfold in stillness over time and with patience, and they guide you back to your why. Purpose isn't something that always arrives with a clear plan or a 5-step formula. Sometimes it's a feeling. A quiet nudge, a burden you can't shake, an idea that won't leave you alone, and the quiet hours are where that feeling grows stronger. You start to see the patterns in your passions. You notice what brings you joy, what breaks your heart, what sparks your energy. You realize your purpose isn't out there waiting to be found. It's been inside you all along, waiting for you to slow down enough to notice it. The world has a way of trying to pull you in every direction. It tells you to go faster, do more, be louder, but purpose doesn't need volume, it needs space, and in the quiet, that space expands. You stop chasing approval and start tuning into conviction. You begin to understand that success without meaning feels empty, but even the smallest steps taken in alignment with your purpose feel rich with significance. There's also something sacred about the early morning hours, a sense that time itself is different. Ideas seem fresher, thoughts are less clouded, emotions are more honest. It's easier to be real with yourself because there's no need to impress anyone. In that raw honesty, you discover not just what you do, but who you are. And who you are becoming. When the noise is stripped away, you see with new eyes. You see the possibilities that fear once blinded. You see the strength you forgot you had. You see the path that's been forming under your feet, even when you felt lost. It's not about having everything figured out. It's about being connected to something greater than yourself. That connection fuels resilience, courage, and direction, and it is in the quiet that you nurture it. Purpose thrives in intentional silence. It deepens when you give it room to breathe. The quiet hours aren't a pause from life. They're where life speaks most honestly. And if you make time to listen, your sense of purpose won't just be something you think about once in a while. It'll become a fire that lights every step of your journey. There's a quiet confidence that comes from rising before the world does. When you wake early, before the noise, before the demands, before the rush, you're stepping into a space that is fully yours. That time is untouched, undisturbed, and full of potential. It's a clean slate, a moment when your energy hasn't been pulled in 100 directions yet, and it's in those early moments that the foundation of your entire day is laid. Starting your day with intention changes the way everything else unfolds. You're not being thrown into the chaos and reacting to it. You're preparing yourself, mentally and emotionally, before any of it even arrives. It's the difference between walking into battle with armor on versus stumbling in unprepared. When you wake early and spend those first minutes grounding yourself, you set the tone for everything that follows. You decide how you will think, how you will act, and how you will respond, not just to the good things, but to the challenges as well. The early hours give you time to be proactive instead of reactive. You get to decide your priorities instead of being dragged around by other people's expectations. You can review your goals, make a plan, speak life over your day, and choose your focus. This simple act of preparation gives you clarity and direction. It's not about having a rigid routine, it's about having a clear intention, and when you begin with that, it's amazing how much more effective, calm, and confident you feel in everything else you do. Winning the day isn't about perfection, it's about momentum, and early mornings give you the first victory. Whether it's reading something that fuels your mind, exercising your body, or simply sitting in silence to center your spirit, these actions build confidence. You begin to trust yourself more because you're keeping promises to yourself. You said you'd get up, and you did. You said you'd prepare for the day, and you followed through. That quiet discipline builds strength, and that strength carries into your conversations, decisions, and responses throughout the day. There's also a psychological shift that happens when you feel like you're ahead. While others are just waking up, you've already moved. While others are starting their engines, yours is already running smoothly. That sense of progress fuels positivity. It makes you feel capable. It reminds you that you're not behind, not stuck, not merely surviving. You're creating, building, moving forward. In those early moments, there's no pressure to perform. You're not on stage. You're not being watched. You're simply showing up for yourself. That space allows you to focus without interruption, to think without influence, to breathe without hurry. It gives you room to prepare not just tasks, but your attitude, because sometimes the biggest difference in your day isn't what happens. It's how you choose to face what happens. And when you start early, you give yourself the gift of choosing from a place of peace rather than pressure. People often say they don't have time, but the truth is, time in the morning feels different. It's quieter, calmer, and somehow slower. An hour in the morning can feel more valuable than 3 in the afternoon. That time is an investment, not just in productivity, but in presence. It's where you remind yourself of who you are and where you're going. It's where you ground your mind before the world tries to shake it. Every day brings challenges, distractions, and uncertainty. But when you start your day early, you walk into it prepared. You've already met yourself. You've already had a conversation with your purpose. You're not chasing the day, you're leading it. And that one decision made in the quiet of the morning echoes through every hour that follows. There's a quiet power in choosing to rise early, not because you have to, but because you've decided that your future matters. Discipline in the morning isn't about impressing anyone. It's not about being part of a trend or checking a box. It's about showing up for the vision you carry inside. The small decision to get up when it's still dark out, to move when no one is watching, to begin the day with intention, that's a reflection of something much deeper. It's evidence of commitment to where you're going, not just where you are. Mornings test your resolve. The comfort of your bed, the warmth of the blanket, the temptation to delay, all of it stands between you and the life you say you want. And every time you choose discipline over ease, you're not just waking up early. You're training yourself to be stronger than your excuses. That decision builds character. It's a small victory, but it plants seeds that grow into consistency, resilience, and confidence. You begin to believe, not because someone told you it's possible, but because you're proving it to yourself one morning at a time. People talk a lot about dreams and goals, but dreams without discipline stay just that, dreams. They sound nice, but they don't take you anywhere. Discipline is what bridges the gap between intention and transformation, and for many, the morning is the proving ground. It's where you decide whether you'll drift through the day or direct it, whether you'll act based on your feelings or your values, whether you'll make excuses or make progress. And when you choose discipline in that moment, it's not just about the hour, it's about the kind of person you're becoming. Every time you rise early, you send a message to your future, I'm coming for you. That kind of commitment doesn't always feel glamorous. Sometimes it feels ordinary, but it's in those quiet, disciplined choices that greatness is born. Because the truth is, the world doesn't see what you do when no one is looking, but your destiny does. Your potential watches how you show up when it's inconvenient, and the more you stay faithful to your routine, the more aligned you become with the person you're meant to be. Morning discipline also teaches you to lead yourself. Before you can lead others, before you can carry out big visions, you have to first master the small. Waking up with consistency, sticking to a routine, taking time to grow. These habits form a foundation. Without that foundation, success is unstable. But when your habits are rooted in discipline, you become unshakable. Challenges may come, delays may happen, but you've trained yourself to keep going, to keep building, to keep believing. There's also something sacred about honoring a commitment no one else can see. That kind of discipline is pure. It's not for applause, it's not for approval, it's for alignment. Because when your actions match your values, when your habits reflect your hopes, you walk in integrity. You're no longer just wishing for change, you're creating it one morning at a time. Sometimes people wait for motivation to show up, but discipline doesn't wait. Discipline moves first, and in that movement, motivation often follows. When you train your body and mind to rise when it's hard, you remind yourself that you're not a prisoner to your feelings. You're guided by something deeper, a sense of mission, a belief in your purpose, a commitment to your calling. Those early hours when you push through the resistance, when you prioritize growth over comfort, are not just a routine. They are a declaration. You're declaring that your purpose is worth it, that your vision matters, that your destiny deserves your best even when it's difficult, and every morning you choose discipline. You're not just starting a day, you're building a legacy. Each morning is more than just a beginning. It's a sacred invitation to rise with purpose, to lead your day instead of chasing it, and to honor the calling that's been placed within you. Waking early isn't just a habit, it's a daily decision to align your life with discipline, clarity, and intention. It's in those quiet hours, before the world begins to stir, that your future is quietly being shaped, not by chance, but by choice. You may not control everything that happens in a day, but you do control how you enter it. And when you enter it with peace, purpose, and preparation, you walk in strength. So let your mornings reflect the greatness within you. Let them be a mirror of your commitment to grow, to lead, and to live boldly. Thank you for choosing to listen, reflect, and take a step closer to the life you were created for. Keep rising, keep believing, and never stop becoming who you're meant to be.